Hello and welcome to the news at NTA International. I am Comfort Fashim and my sign language interpreter is Bamidele John. Let's see the headline first. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tuga cautions against designating Nigeria with negative narratives, says it distorts facts and damages reputations. All senior advocates standing for Nnamdi Kanu on alleged terrorism act withdraw from case. King Charles III makes history as first head of Church of England to pray publicly with a pontiff at Vatican. President Bola Tinubu has urged the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Ojo Amukpiton, to protect and improve on the integrity of electoral processes in Nigeria for the development of democracy in the country. A State House correspondent, Musbaudan Wahab, reports that the ceremony was before the commencement of the National Economic Council NEC meeting this Thursday.
An ambience that announces the arrival of a new era in INEC, the journey of Ojo. An excitedly expectant staff of INEC gave their new boss a befitting atmosphere. The new man, flanked by his wife, who is also a professor and lawyer, children, delegation from the University of Jos, here at the INEC conference hall. First day in office, yes, with glasses set in the standard of a professor. Joash waited.
Welcome, Mr. Chairman.
May Agbamuchi Ombo, the acting chairman of INEC, on the agenda for the next assignment.
The task ahead, no doubt, is enormous. Elections are the lifeblood of democracy, and the expectations of Nigerians have never been higher. However, you are not walking to an empty field. You're stepping onto the firm and fertile ground laid by your predecessor, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. So these are the handover notes that Professor Mahmoud Yakubu gave to you.
Let them not think you are handing over money.
It's been 2 weeks of questions and answer session for the new INEC boss. On his agenda, here, the professor promises again, midwifing elections where losers will congratulate winners is the mandate.
Our mandate is clear, and what is it? To deliver free, fair, and credible elections that reflect the will of Nigerian people. To achieve this, we must work together as a team.
This is promise can be substantiated either in the positive or negative after the November 8th governorship elections in Anambra State. Mie Ogede, NT News.
All right, that report was from Mie Ogidi. We move on. President Bola Tinubu congratulates the Managing Director of Nigeria LNG Limited, Dr. Philip Mishabila, on his selection as Secretary General of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum. He was elected at the 27th ministerial meeting of the forum held in Doha, Qatar. The president also congratulates the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekperikpe Ekpo, on his emergence as president of the 2026 ministerial meeting, a development that will further consolidate Nigeria's leadership in global gas diplomacy. A statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, President Tinubu is confident that Dr. Michelle Bila and Minister Ekpo will represent Nigeria with distinction and work with other nations to strengthen cooperation, stability and inclusivity in the global gas market. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has inaugurated 10 renewed Hope Initiative and National Information Technology Development Agency digital learning centers across 10 states of the Federation. At a virtual inauguration ceremony held in her office, she notes that with optimism that sustained advancement of digital literacy is driving inclusive growth in the country. A State House correspondent, Adeniyi Taiwo, reports.
The learning centers were equipped by the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, in collaboration with the Renewed Hope Initiative under the Renewed Hope Social Investment Program. While inaugurating the Digital Learning Center in Abia on behalf of the President's wife of the Deputy Governor of Abia State, Adeze Emeto, appreciated the First Lady for her visionary leadership. She noted that the establishment of the center aligns with the vision of the Abia State government to empower women, girls, and vulnerable groups with the knowledge and competence they need to succeed in today's digital age.
We express our sincere gratitude to Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu CON, the First Lady of Nigeria and Chairman of the Renewed Hope Initiative, for this extraordinary investment in Abia State. We appreciate your partnership with NITDA to bring this initiative to life. This collaboration is a testament to your commitment to the growth and development of our nation, and we are honored to be part of it.
The Commissioner for Women Affairs in Abia State expressed the ministry's readiness to ensure that the center is effectively utilized and sustained to achieve its purpose of transforming lives through technology-driven learning and innovation.
It's not every state that has it yet, but then Abia is lucky to be one of the first states to have it.
The event, which attracted people from various backgrounds, including students, reflects the federal government's commitment through the Renewed Hope Initiative to promote inclusiveness, empower the youth, and prepare Nigerians, especially women and the less privileged, for opportunities in the global digital economy. In Umuahia, Ifeoma Ndu-Okolie, NTA News.
All right, to apologize for the mix-up there. It was the former Okolie that packaged the reports. We'll move on. Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tuga has cautioned against designating the country with negative narratives, emphasizing that such portrayals can distort facts and damage reputations. The Foreign Minister's comments came amid concerns over false narratives circulating online, especially those portraying Nigeria as a place of religious persecution and division. Garba Natala has more on that.
Speaking at Reuters' next event organized by Global Wire Service Reuters in Abu Dhabi, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tuga highlighted the importance of showcasing Nigeria's positive aspects, citing the country's rich cultural heritage, peaceful coexistence among diverse ethnic groups, and significant economic potential. The minister also referenced a recent surge in online claims of a so-called Christian genocide narratives, amplified by a handful of U.S. media commentators. Tuga refuted such claim, describing it as gross distortions of a far more complex reality. On the economic front, Yusuf Tuga acknowledged global pressures but clarified that Nigeria, as a major oil exporter, is less affected from the direct impact of U.S. trade tariffs. Also, the minister affirmed Nigeria's government's primary focus, which remains on its economic diversification drive, moving the country away from its reliance on oil. His message was clear, saying Africa and Nigeria within it does not need one-sided criticism, but rather partnership, mutual respect, and fairness in international engagements. Garba Muhammad Natala, NTA News.
The UK Supreme Court has unanimously upheld a decision to award legal costs in sterling to the Federal Republic of Nigeria in its disputes with Process and Industrial Development Limited, PNID. The case arose from Nigeria's successful challenge to two arbitration awards totaling $6.6 billion plus interests granted to PNID in 2015 and 2017 for a bridged gas facility contract, which Nigeria proved were obtained by fraud. Nigeria incurred £44.127 million in legal costs during an 8-week trial in the commercial courts, which PNID was ordered to pay. PNID argued costs should be in Naira, Nigeria's currency, claiming Nigeria converted Naira to sterling to pay its English solicitors, and a sterling award would create a windfall due to alleged Naira's depreciation. The Commercial Court and Court of Appeal ruled for sterling as Nigeria was billed and paid in that currency. The Supreme Court agreed, stating cost orders are discretionary and compensatory like damages, and courts do not typically probe how litigants fund legal fees to avoid complex disputes. The court ruled that awarding costs in the billing currency ensures legal certainty unless the currency choice is abusive, which was not the case here. The UK Apex Court dismissed PNID's windfall claims. Director General of the Nigerian Technical Aid Corps, Dr. Yusuf Buba Yakub, has pledged Nigeria's commitment to the sustainable development ideals of the Total Official Support for Sustainable Development, TOSSD, a development cooperation multilateral agency with its headquarters in Paris, France. Speaking at the ongoing General Assembly meeting of the body in Madrid, Spain, Dr. Buba confirmed the full membership status of Nigeria and highlighted the importance of the country's full membership of the body as providers of sustainable development goals across the world since the past 38 years, through which it has availed the expert services of professional Nigerians to promote South-South cooperation, while commending President Tinubu for his commitment to sustainable development goals. The NTAC Director General noted that the nation has fully put behind itself its observer status in the 28 member state body, whose full membership include France, Greece, Norway, as well as Qatar, the EU countries, and the Organization of American States, among others. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi says Egypt is commitment to deepening cooperation with the European Union under the Strategic and Comprehensive Partnership launched in March 2024 in Cairo. And China opposes new U.S. sanctions on Russian oil over Ukraine war. Charles Alpha has the details.
President el-Sisi remarks came during a walking dinner on Wednesday hosted in his honor by the European Council President Antonio Costa and attended by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on the sidelines of the Egypt-EU summit in Brussels. During the event, the president stressed that the Egypt-EU partnership goes beyond institutional ties, extending to bilateral relations between Egypt and all EU member states, serving the interests of both the Egyptian and European people. This gathering represents an important opportunity for consultation and the exchange of views of the progress of bilateral relations, ways to further advance them, and regional and international issues of mutual concern, el-Sisi said. He noted that the summit comes at a sensitive global moment that calls for stronger cooperation and understanding to ensure a more stable and prosperous future for both regions and their shared neighborhood. Elsewhere, China says it opposes recent sanctions slapped by the United States on the two largest Russian oil companies over Moscow's war in Ukraine, saying they had no basis in international law. U.S. President Donald Trump announced the measures after plans for a fresh summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin collapsed, complaining that talks with his counterparts would not go anywhere. China, a major Russian trading partner, has said it takes a neutral stance on the war and refrained from condemning Moscow's 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
King Charles III met on Thursday with Pope Leo XIV during a state visit to the Vatican, making history as the first head of the Church of England to pray publicly with a pontiff in a service broadcast live on Vatican media. Again, Charles Alpha tells us more.
The 76-year-old monarch, who holds the title of Supreme Governor of the Mother Church of Anglicanism, flew to Rome on Wednesday evening with his wife, Queen Camilla, for what Buckingham Palace described as a historic trip. The royals were greeted at the Apostolic Palace on Thursday morning by the ceremonial guard of honor, mounted by the Swiss Guard, the Pope's colorful private bodyguards, before a private meeting with Pope Leo in the Papal Library. It was the King's first meeting with Pope Leo, who took over as head of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics in May, following the death of Pope Francis. The King and Queen joined an ecumenical service at midday in a Sistine Chapel led by Leo and the Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell, currently the senior cleric of the Church of England. The visit, broadcast live by Vatican Media, is the first time a reigning English or British monarch has prayed publicly with the Pope since English King Henry VIII broke with Rome 500 years ago, triggered by the Pope's refusal to annul the King's marriage so he could marry another woman. Thursday's service held beneath Michelangelo's spectacular ceiling frescoes centered on conservation and protecting the environment, a cause championed by Charles. It brought together Catholic and Anglican tradition with the choir from the Sistine Chapel, joined by that of St. George's Chapel, Windsor Castle, one of the King's residences. Charles, Alpha, NTA News.
All right, let's take some time out for commercials. We'll be back with more reports. Stay with us.
FFDGN, united we stand. The Forum of Former Deputy Governors of Nigeria, FFDGN, announces our 4th National Conference, holding as follows. Date, Tuesday 28th to Wednesday 29th October 2025. Time, 9 a.m. daily. Venue, Ladikwali Conference Center, Abuja Continental Hotel, Abuja, Nigeria. Theme, boosting Nigeria's productive capacity for national growth and self-reliance. The role of leadership, industry, and innovation in policy implementation. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Senator Anyim Pius Anyim, GCON, and His Excellency Senator Aliyu Wamako, CON. Special features include the 3rd edition of Nation Builders Awards. Announces His Excellency Chris Akomes, PhD, FNIM, National Chairman. His Excellency Mokhtar Shehu Shagari, Deputy National Chairman North. His Excellency Barrister Hazim Bolarumi, Deputy National Chairman South. Attendance is strictly by invitation. FFDGN, united we stand.
At least 40 migrants from sub-Saharan African countries have died after their boats sank off the coast of Tunisia in one of the deadliest maritime tragedies in the region this year, Reuters reported, citing official estimates. Reports say the boats carrying about 70 migrants sank near the coastal city of Mardia. Tunisia has become a key transit country for migrants fleeing conflict and poverty in search of better opportunities in Europe. The latest incident highlights the ongoing risk faced by migrants and the growing pressure on North African countries to manage irregular migrant routes. And legality and public trust have been identified as major pillars upon which a stable and prosperous economy rests. This is the convergence of opinion at an interface between legal experts and financial regulators in Abuja. Dele Atumbi of our Judiciary Desk reports.
The right interpretation of the law makes the judiciary not only vibrant, respected, but also engenders public confidence, thereby bringing about ease of doing business and attracts foreign direct investment. This also improves and stabilizes the economy of the country. It is in the light of this that stakeholders, judicial officers, and financial regulators converge on Abuja to sustain the development. This platform provided the opportunity for constructive engagement on the evolving nexus between law, regulation, and economic development. It equally brought about strategic dialogue at the intersection of justice, financial stability, and national progress. The forum reflected a shared commitment between the judiciary and financial regulators in upholding the two major pillars of the economy.
This trust rests on the assurance that issues will be resolved fairly, obligations enforced justly, and rights protected in passion. It is here that the judiciary assumes its critical role by providing clarity, certainty, and consistency in legal interpretation.
Success of any financial or monetary policy in any country is greatly enforced by the competence, cooperation, and integrity of the judicial process.
Participants agreed that while the functions of the judiciary and the financial regulators are distinct, they are deeply interconnected. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
All the senior advocates standing for Nnamdi Kanu and his alleged terrorism act have withdrawn from the case. The announcement was made by the lead counsel, Kanu Agabi, SAN, when making appearance at the commencement of proceeding, where the defendant was expected to open his defense. Judiciary correspondent Austin Ayabe tells us more.
The lead counsel, Kanu Agabi, senior advocate of Nigeria, told the court that the defendant has decided to take over the matter by himself. Thus, 6 of them who are senior advocates have withdrawn from the trial. When Justice James Omotosho sought confirmation from the defendant, Nnamdi Kanu, he concurred with the submission of the senior advocates and then proceeded to make an oral presentation where he alleged that the court lacks the jurisdiction to try him, having been earlier discharged by the Court of Appeal. Kanu, who alleged violation of his rights, having been allegedly kept in solitary confinement, is also alleging that the report tendered by the panel of the Nigerian Medical Association was forged and they did not take his blood sample or conducted any medical examination on him. The prosecution counsel, Adeboyega Awomulu, senior advocate of Nigeria, said the submission by the defendant were not rooted in a process or foundation. He said the judgment being referred to by the defendant has been upturned and set aside by the Supreme Court in December 2023 and urged the court to prevail on him to call his witnesses in his defense. In his ruling, Justice James Omotosho said all the issues raised by the defendant were contained in a written address on the no-case submission by Kanu Agabi, senior advocate of Nigeria, which he ruled on in September this year. On the alleged forged medical report by the defendant, Justice James Omotosho held that when the report was presented, neither the prosecution nor the defense raised any objection. He concluded that the defendant can raise all the issues in his final written address or can still appeal to the Court of Appeal. Justice Omotosho ordered the defendant to enter his defense as he will not entertain any preliminary issues, restating his commitment to accelerated hearing. The court held that the defendant should commence his defense on Friday, 24th October 2025. From the Federal High Court, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
And GEF Small Grant supported clean cooking initiative aimed at ensuring that no woman or girl dies from smoke inhalation, particularly in rural homes, was held with women in Chika community of the Federal Capital Territory among the beneficiaries. The workshop exposed participants to practical ways of converting aggregated waste into usable cooking gas, reducing dependence on cash purchases while promoting cleaner and safer cooking method. Charles Alpha reports.
A sick woman is believed to make a sick home, and when exposed to smoke from traditional cooking methods, the effects can be devastating, causing respiratory diseases, skin irritation, and teary eyes. But women at the Cook Blue Initiative Inception Workshop held at the Palace of Echu of Chika were not only sensitized on these health hazards, they were also taught practical ways to recycle aggregated waste such as plastics, papers, and metals into biogas, thereby reducing deforestation and promoting cleaner, safer cooking practices.
Men are no longer going to be depending on firewood. Rather, they will be depending on cooking gas or every other clean cooking material. just to ensure that their health is improved.
If you go out there, you see how the women are suffering. Women are using firewood and charcoal. So it's not
the model eco community, showcasing how.
President Bola Tinubu has urged the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Ojo Amupiton, to protect and improve on the integrity of electoral processes in Nigeria for the development of democracy in the country. A State House correspondent, Musbah Den Wahab, reports that the ceremony was before the commencement of the National Economic Council NEC meeting this Thursday.
And that I will devote myself to the service and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
Final confirmation following the approval of the National Council of States and subsequent screening and confirmation by the Nigerian Senate. And it becomes even more tantalizing with the presence of the state governors. Professor Joash Ojo Amupiton takes up new big shoes as a major player and determinant in sustaining the growth of a 25-year-old Nigerian democracy. But then, President Bola Tinubu believes the new helmsman is equal to the task of steering the democratic ship in the right direction.
Your nomination for the important role and the subsequent confirmation by the Senate is a testament to your capacity and the confidence reposed in you by both the executive and the legislative arm of government. The significant achievement marked the beginning of a challenging yet rewarding journey, and I trust that you will approach your responsibilities with the highest level of integrity, dedication, and patriotism.
With various efforts and reforms along the way to protect the return of democracy in Nigeria, President Tinubu says major players with INEC in the lead must remain committed to the principles that underpin democracy in a complex, multifaceted society like Nigeria.
I therefore charge you, Professor Amupiton, as to take on this important assignment to protect the integrity of our elections and electoral process and strengthen the institutional capacity of INEC.
58-year-old professor of law and senior advocate of Nigeria commits himself to free, fair and credible elections under his watch.
I was given a clear charge to ensure credible, fair and free election. Not just that I will ensure that that is done, I'm also going to engage all the stakeholders, because no matter how you set the barometer and the level of success, you still need all the stakeholders to be able to succeed.
From the new chairman's background, Amupiton means an instrument of history. So, the son of a late judge and a headmistress from Ijumu, local government area of Kogi State, has the next 5 years, all things being equal, to make history in the political landscape of a country. And that begins with the Anambra governorship election next month. From the State House, Musbah Den Wahab, NT News.
All right, that is how much we can take on the news. Thank you for being a part of it. I am Comfort Fashion, and my sign language interpreter has been Bamidele John.